that more Christian point of view, because a lot of people don't use the name as it should be. But is my relationship and what was accomplished at the Tav only important during these particular times, or do I think about it as well, that I'm about to do something that is maybe not the best idea in the world? Do I recognize that somebody had to pay the price for me to be able to make teshuvah once I do what I'm about to do? So, anyway, we can consider this in the phrase, where is he? This takes us back to the question, is Yahusha only relevant during our religious time? Considering this, we can see it explained further in verse 12 that says, "And there was much murmuring amongst the multitudes concerning him. Some said, He is a good man. Others said, Not so, but he leads the multitude astray." That's a mouthful. And if you will go back in history a little bit to the battles that were taking place between observant, at this point, Christianity and what we call Gnostic Christians, there was a battle because Christianity, everything was good about Yahusha. Gnosticism, not so much so, that he was actually the product of an evil god of the Old Testament. And so there was a hashing back and forth about this. But people also had their opinions here. He's a good guy. He heals people, and he talks to people, and he makes people feel all buttery inside. And some people saying he's a pest. He's stirring up rebellions. And since we're in the book of Yochanan, look what he did at the temple. He overchanged all those tables. He's a troublemaker. The Pharisees were also torn. Some of the Pharisees wanted to follow Yahusha. Some of them did not, because it cut into their bottom line. You can't cut into someone's bottom line. When you start affecting somebody's income, then you have a problem with it. But anyway, and there was much murmuring among the multitudes concerning him. Some said, He's a good man. Others said, Not so, but he leads the multitude astray. So when is Yahusha relevant? When is our relationship with Yahuwah, our Elohim, relevant? Do we depend on the commentaries of others to dictate our relationship with Yahuwah, our Elohim? Consider this question in the phrase, there was much murmuring amongst the multitudes concerning him. Some said, He's a good man. Others said, Not so, but he leads the multitude astray. This takes us back to the question, is a relationship with Yahuwah Elohim only relevant when others are involved in the conversation? And we have people that like to interject themselves into conversations so that they look like they're all that in a bag of potato chips, when in reality they interject themselves, but that's the only relationship they have with Elohim, is when they're able to do that, when they're able to throw themselves into it. So is a relationship with Yahuwah Elohim only relevant when others are involved in the conversation? Topically, we see the same response to Yahusha as we see today in religious circles. Everyone has an opinion. What is the status of the multitude's relationship with Yahuwah Elohim that allows them to know and understand His Word and His redemption, deliverance, and restoration? Do they have a relationship with Yahuwah Elohim, or simply an opinion to voice in religious circles? And there's another big one. Do I have a relationship with my Elohim? Or do I simply have an opinion that I want to voice in religious circles that, again, makes me look all pious and great and everything? I'm like those religious people that Yahusha's talking about that let their seats drag on the floor and have people blow trumpets as they come in to make an offering. And they pray loud prayers so that everybody hears them. But Is my relationship real, or is my relationship just for show? So, you can ask, what is your status? Now the concept is further expanded in verse 13. It's wonderful how these build on each other. I watched a documentary about the music of Mozart compared to the music of Beethoven, but that's for another time. It says Beethoven would surprise people and build it up, whereas Mozart would simply just let it flow and you knew what he was going to do. But so verse 13, totally irrelevant, right? All right. Yet no man spoke openly of him for the fear of the Yahudim. Yochanan would appear to be posing these questions to the Yochanan community, questions that are just as relevant for the Torah-observant believer today. Yochanan almost appears to be saying, if you have a good relationship and are in a covenant with Yahu Elohim based on his word, don't take the opinions of those that do not and simply seek to appear religious too seriously. Should I take their opinion seriously, or should I take my relationship with my Elohim seriously? Which one is ultimately going to matter in the world to come? Yes, I have the responsibility to minister to other people. But it comes down to, again, I have to pick my battles. You know, don't get caught up in a debate with someone who really doesn't care. So, in verse 13, we can consider that another reason for not acknowledging a relationship with Yahuwah as a Torah-observant believer in public is fear of what people under another religious authority might think. The Yochanan community risked beatings and death. What do we risk today? So if we watch the media and we try to sort out what is real news and what is fake news, we find that even in this country, where religious freedom is the rule, persecution exists if you speak contrary to established dogma, or if you speak contrary to established non-dogmatic belief. You know, we have people losing their businesses because they won't comply with someone's belief system, but that person doesn't want to comply with their belief system. We have people that get all upset when you challenge their belief system, or they get all upset when they challenge your belief system and you don't budge. So we consider that we also have the same issues going on today that the Yochanan community suffered back then. But I don't think that anybody in this room has had any problems whatsoever coming out of a Christian dogma into a Torah observant dogma. I'm sure that everyone is just, it's been a smooth transition for everyone across the road, right? So, yeah. So being a Torah observant believer in Yahusha and seeking a covenant relationship with Yahuwah, who is Elohim, does not set well with many denominations. You have to be a Christian or you have to be Jewish. There is nothing else. People ask you, are you a Christian? And, you know, no. Well, are you Jewish? Well, not that either. I am a Torah observant believer in Yahushua HaMashiach. They look at me like I've just sprouted a second head. So, because you have to be one or the other these days, right? There's nothing else. The main point in this study is that we must strive to become aware that we exist within Yahuwah, our Elohim, and that He is always present with us. His redemption, deliverance, and restoration is a very real spiritual presence in our physical world. The day of Yahuwah, the final redemption, deliverance, and restoration has not arrived. Take the time before it does to consider where you are, and don't take paying attention to your condition lightly. That is our witness and our testimony during the time of the Adam. That is not to be taken lightly. So we just simply end with a question, as if we haven't had enough questions within this study. Are you going to the feast, or are you living in the feast? And that's something to think about. And with that, we can probably say that grooviness has been achieved, and say, any questions?